Hey guys, in this video we are going to go over page 17, calculate slope. So go ahead and pause the video, add page 17 to your table of contents, turn back to page 17, and I will give you the little half sheet to tape down. Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started on page 14. So our slope formula, for any 2 points, x1, y1, x2, y2, on the graph of the line, the slope m of the line can be calculated using the formula that we saw yesterday. Slope equals rise over run. So we saw this yesterday. We were able to determine whether or not the slope was positive, negative, 0, or undefined. Now we're going to use this formula. So we have that the slope m is equal to the second y value minus the first y value over the second x value minus the first x value. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to highlight a couple of different things. So we have our second y value minus our first y value. And then we have that divided by our second x value divided by our first x value. So I'm color coding it like this so that you guys can see where our numbers are coming from. So we'll look at an example. So use the labeled points on the line to show the slope of the line. So what I want to do, I want to take the first point, so 4, 5, and label that as x1 and y1. So it's my first x value and my first y value. Then I have the second coordinate, -3, -6. And I'll label this as my second x value, so x2, and my second y value. And what we're going to do is we're going to use this formula up here that I highlighted. So our second y value minus our first y value. That'll go on top. So we're going to do -6 minus 5, because we're subtracting, over, and then I'm going to take my second x value, -3, and subtract it from my first x value, which is 4. So on the bottom, we'll do -3 minus 4. And from here, we're just going to either use mental math or the calculator. So we'll open up our Desmos graphing calculator. We'll look at the top. So -6 minus 5. So I'll put -11 on the top. And then divided by -3 minus 4. So I'll put a -7 on the bottom. So my slope, -11, divided by -7. And that's one more thing that I'll put in my calculator. -11 divided by -7, which that gives me a decimal, and I can round that decimal, 1.57. So my slope of this line is equal to 1.57. So go ahead and pause the video if you need to get caught up on that example before we go over one more example of finding the slope between 2 points. All right, let's look at example 2. So let's say I give you the points 3, 1, and 4, -2. So say we were given a graph and these were the 2 points that I was able to identify. So just like we did up here, we're going to label our first x value and our first y value and our second x value and our second y value. And then from there, we just need to use our formula. So the second y value minus the first y value So on the top, to calculate my slope, m equals -2 minus 1 over my second x value, which is 4, minus my first x value, which is 3. So on the bottom, we'll do 4 minus 3. And here, I'll just type the top and the bottom into the calculator. So I have -2 minus 1. So I'll put a -3 on the top. And then divided by 4 minus 3, which I know that that's 1. -3 divided by 1, my slope is equal to -3. So notice now, we're not just saying if it's positive or negative, we're actually calculating the slope using this formula. So this formula is going to be very good for us to know and to use to find the slope between 2 points. So you might see examples where we have to identify the 2 points from a graph, and you might be given examples where it just gives you the 2 coordinates and you have to calculate the slope. So go ahead and pause the video and get anything down that you weren't able to get down, and then I will give you the practice that goes along with page 17.